North Carolina has over 130 people on death row. This is part 1 of the series. Blanche Moore, 33 years on death row. Blanche Taylor Moore is the oldest woman currently incarcerated on death row. She is 91 years old. Born Blanche Kisser, she was the daughter of mail worker, ordained Baptist minister, and womanizer Parker D. Kisser. He was an alcoholic who subsequently drove her into prostitution to cover his debts from gambling. Kisser passed away in 1966 with a heart attack being listed as the reason. She married the soldier and furniture restorer James Napoleon Taylor in 1952, and the two had 2 children in 1953 and 1959. She worked as a cashier at Kroger in 1954. By 1959, she had advanced to the highest position attainable for a female employee at Kroger, head cashier, which is essentially the modern equivalent of customer service manager. She started an affair with Raymond Reed, the store manager, in 1962. Taylor passed away shortly after Moore and Reed started dating. Once more, a heart attack was listed as the cause. The two started dating in public after her husband passed away in 1971, but their relationship had worsened by 1985. It appears that she started dating Kevin Denton, the regional manager for the Triad area. Nevertheless, after their breakup, Moore sued Denton and Kroger in October 1985 for alleged sexual harassment. After Denton was compelled to step down, Kroger paid $275,000 to settle the lawsuit outside of court 2 years later. Before leaving Kroger, Moore met Reverend Dwight Moore. However, she was forced to conceal her relationship with Reverend Moore due to the fact that she claimed in her case against Kroger to be completely alienated and antagonistic towards men and has not been able to maintain any meaningful social contacts with the opposite sex. She asked Reverend Moore to get her some arsenic-based ant killer when they were dating. Moore further charged an unidentified person in 1985 of igniting 2 fires that caused damage in her mobile home. Reed experienced what was first thought to be shingles in 1986. That April, he was admitted to the hospital, and on October 7, 1986, he passed away. Physicians concluded that Guillain-Barré syndrome was the cause of death. Soon after Reed passed away, Blanche and Reverend Dwight Moore started dating in public. The pair wed on April 19, 1989, and spent a long weekend in New Jersey. On Monday, they went back, and on Wednesday, following a chicken sandwich, Reverend Moore became very ill. The cause, according to medical professionals, was arsenic poisoning. Subsequent investigation revealed that Reverend Moore was exposed to the highest amount of arsenic from which a victim managed to survive. Following notifications to the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation, Taylor, Reed, and her father were exhumed. All of the bodies had high levels of arsenic according to later autopsy. It was also revealed that Raymond Reed had a toxicology screen request by Baptist hospital physicians. His body had a significant amount of arsenic according to the results, but the resident in charge of Reed's care rotated to a different hospital on the day the test results were returned, and the new resident never forwarded the information up the chain of command. Reed consequently took the last lethal doses of arsenic in his hospital bed. When the SBI learned that Blanche Moore had attempted to have Dwight Moore's pension modified to make her the primary recipient, they were suspicious of her. They were also aware that she had misrepresented the amount of money she had gotten from Raymond Reed's estate. Blanche Moore said in interviews that Dwight Moore and Raymond Reed were unhappy and had likely been abusing arsenic, which was deemed to be extremely unlikely. It also turned out that at the time Moore was dating Dwight Moore, she was still having affairs with Reed. In an effort to stop the SBI from obtaining hair samples, Blanche also had Dwight's hair chopped. Instead, private area's hair samples were used. Blanche Taylor Moore was detained and accused of Raymond Reed's first-degree murder on July 18, 1989. Because they believed they could demonstrate that she fed Reed pudding laced with arsenic, prosecutors decided to charge her with Reed's death rather than trying to kill Dwight Moore. In Dwight Moore's case, it was more challenging to identify the person poisoning him because medical professionals had identified the symptoms of arsenic poisoning early on. Other potential victims include a number of close friends and family who who inexplicably passed away while exhibiting some symptoms of arsenic poisoning, but none of them had been dug up for additional analysis. Her mother-in-law, Isla Taylor, is among the other likely victims. Jerry Connor, 33 years on death row. For the 1990 essay and murder of Min Rogers and her 16-year-old daughter Linda, Connor received a death sentence. He admitted to the police that he had essayed someone, but his lawyers said he was untrustworthy and only little mentally handicapped. Connor's 1995 trial used the essay conviction as support for the death penalty. His confession to the police matched information from the crime scene, and his shoe print was discovered in the girl's blood. Clinton Rose, 33 years on death row. Rose was a prison escapee from Alabama, having been convicted of the 1973 murder of a Tennessee man and given a life sentence. Later, he was found guilty on 2 charges of murder and robbery in connection with the June 1990 killings of Reidsville resident Larry Connor, 31, and Stoneville resident Richard Connor, 39. A close-range shotgun fire murdered the Connors when they were camped near the Virginia state border in northwest Rockingham County along the Mayo River. A few days after their deaths, their remains were discovered, zipped inside their tent. Edward Davis, 32 years on death row. In 1992, Davis was found guilty of killing Mark Ronald Lane with a gun during a heist at the pawn shop Lane's father operated in Leicester. Lane pulled a revolver on the would-be robber and was shot 3 times. 10 months prior to the murder, in Ohio, Davis had been granted parole for a 1975 murder in which, as part of a break-in, he fatally stabbed a man in order to take his television. Kenneth Roos, 32 years on death row. In Randall County Superior Court, Roos, 41 at the time, was given a death sentence for the murder of Hazel Colleen Broadway on March 16, 1991. Broadway, 63, was the victim of a robbery, essay attempt, and murder committed by Roos inside the Nashboro Pantry convenience store. Blood was discovered all over Broadway. Her body bore the imprints of hands. Her jeans were pushed down to her feet, and she wore a blouse. A knife was embedded in her neck. The knife's blade was bent at a 90-degree angle directly beneath the handle. Wayne Laws, 39 years on death row. For committing 2 murders in 1985, the state of North Carolina sentenced Laws to death. Court records state that Wayne Laws killed Ronnie Waddle, 35, and James Kepley, 57, by beating them. A hammer had been used to viciously assault both individuals. I found a report stating that Laws died in prison last year, but I couldn't confirm the info with other sources, and even so, being the longest-serving death row inmate in this state, I felt it was important to mention him. Please hit that subscribe button if you like my channel. See you next time. Bye bye.